Well, good afternoon. Welcome into Kiwitea St here in Auckland's Sandringham as Auckland City look to finish their regular season on a high up against a Melville United team that is indeed on a run themselves. They are on a 4-game winning streak as they try and take the puff out of Auckland City a week ahead of the grand final next week at Mount Smart Stadium. Andrew Dewhurst are with you, and alongside his former All-White Hedamaya Nata. And Harry, interesting as we have a look at results so far. Christchurch with their best performance of the season, 4-1 over Kashmir. Auckland United has confirmed a chance at third place with a 3-2 win this afternoon over Napier City Rovers. Auckland City play Melville. 2 matches being played tomorrow to wrap up the regular season. The Phoenix Reserves play Birkenhead, who are in that mix for third place. And Miramar Rangers, if they win against Wellington Olympic, they will climb off the foot of the table. But this is interesting. It's a dress rehearsal for Auckland City. They're already guaranteed a place in the final against Olympic. So it's important that they play well today and Olympic plays well tomorrow.
Yeah, look, I think Riera will probably want to play a full strength side as well. That momentum going into a final is always super important. And on the plus side, there might be 1 or 2 players with a niggle or carrying a wee injury that he might want to just rest for today. But yeah, look, very much Melville as well. What a season they've had over the last sort of 4 weeks. Won their last 4 games, losing I think their first 3, and then they didn't pick up the first 3 points until the 5th game into the season.
Let's have a look at their lineup. Oliver Colotti, the young under-19 New Zealand player, leads the line. Stafford Dowling out wide with Jerson Lagos also in that attacking 3. They're solid at the back with the likes of Raheem Hunter and Luke Searle anchoring that defensive 4. And of course they're led by their skipper, vastly experienced Aaron Scott, who has switched his time between midfield and centre-back this season. For Auckland City, well, 3 changes to the side that's played last week and won last week in dramatic fashion against Miramar Rangers with the Alfie Rogers back in. He's had a long battle with injury. Takuya Iwata at fullback as well. Joe Lee comes back into the side. He did not start last week against Miramar. Ryan De Vries also gets a start. Still, they have talent to burn on the bench. So really for Auckland City, I guess this is a little bit like their training sessions during the week. It's all about putting your hand up and saying to Albert Riera, I want to start in the grand final. Yeah,
look, there's no doubt every player fit wants to start in every game they play, right? Because it's it's a big test for them the course of the season. They've been, I think, probably them and Wellington Olympic, the 2 best sides, and that's naturally where those 2 teams are sitting at the top of the table at the moment with 1 round to go.
As we observe a moment's silence for the tragic passing of the Sandringham shopkeeper who lost his life very close to the ground here. Moment's silence. My thoughts and prayers with the family and friends. Such a tragic loss of life occurring so close to Kiwitea St ground here. Nice gesture from these 2 teams. So interesting also, Cam Howison is another one to miss out, not in the squad at all today. I haven't got the backstory. I'm not sure if it's just convenient, he's having a breather, whether he's off at someone's wedding, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but when you're already booked in the grand final, I guess that's the luxury that you have. You can leave your skipper out.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about the strength of their bench as well. Kilcolly, Tade, Christian Gray, I know, is can duly step into either of those 2 central defensive roles as well. So they're well equipped across the park, even without obviously the likes of Howison, and also Jordan Vale is also missing as well this afternoon.
Tade did come off the bench and scored not long after from the penalty spot in that 2-1 win over Miramar. It was a hotly debated penalty. Showing plenty of fights. Certainly a very young Miramar side that's Scott Hales was very proud of at the end of that match. They didn't play like a team at the foot of the table. And Melville, I think, Harry, on the back of this 4-game winning run, I think they come here full of confidence. I think they're up for the fight here. I think this could be all on.
Look, yeah, their form has been probably the best in the league over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks. You know, that 4-3 win over Napier last week. They beat Miramar 3-2 the week before. Beat, obviously, Birkenhead, another team that's in form as well, 2-0. And then Christchurch, they beat 5-2, 4 weeks before, 4 weeks ago. So certainly a team that's had, I guess, a turn in fortunes as well after what was a pretty slow start to the season, so to speak, as we see.
Oh, Luke
a nasty injury there to Luke Searle.
Yeah, he's got heavy strapping on the left knee, and it's the right knee that buckled under the contact of Ryan de Vries, who was actually being pushed into Searle. So that looked like it could be a nasty ligament tweak there, and it can give you a fright, can't it, Harry, as much as anything when you feel the leg buckled. That movement's okay. The real test, I think, for Searle is going to be that
the sideways movement. Yeah, absolutely. When it becomes a lateral or medial kind of injury, there's that type of movement side to side does become a bit of a challenge. Hopefully he's okay, only just inside 2 minutes, and already a bit of a concern for Melville at the back.
Reese looks to have recovered, he's okay. Lee can't maintain the attacking momentum. So they just get out of that midfield scramble there and back to Connor Tracy. Melville not at full strength. There's a Gillian who was so impressive, especially early on against Miramar with his attacking runs down that right wing side. As Iwata has an early touch, but Melville missing young Josh Galletley, who's headed across for an opportunity in Australia, which is great to see. This New Zealand National League giving young players that chance as Manicum gets into the area, but well marshalled. Defensive work there.
It's a good point you make, Dewey, because the standard of the National League or the Hunter Premiership or whatever you want to call it, our National Men's Championship has certainly improved over the last couple of years, and we've seen kind of the transition from the National League into the Phoenix with a number of key players. The players like Ben Sigmund and Roy Krishna spring to mind. Albert Riera, obviously, was very influential in those couple of years with the Phoenix as well. So you certainly, if you're good enough and you do get an opportunity to lift and to train, play full time, there's certainly players at this sort of National League standard that, given the opportunity, can excel in a full-time role.
Got another injury concern, and it's Searle who's gone down again, and sadly, I think that's confirmation. That's exactly what you spoke about, Harry. That's the lateral movement. The straight line running was fine, but I think sadly for Luke Searle, he's come a cropper here with, is it a medial ligament? It's something in the knee that's just impacting his ability to move laterally, move sideways. And they might just go and give him one more opportunity, perhaps a little strapping to balance him up here. He's got the left knee well covered, so it's just even him up with the right. And the physio is saying hold off on a change.
Yeah, I think you heard you, Dewey. I think they're going to try and strap that up and see how he goes, at least for the next sort of 5 or 6 minutes, if he can get, if he can get himself through that, and if he comes through that, all okay. There's no reason why he can't play on. But you touched on Liam Gillian earlier, Dewey, as well. I think they're well equipped, Auckland City, to either play a more narrow game through the middle, through Garriga and De Vries and Manicum, or they've got the opportunity and certainly the players and quality out wide with Gillian and Joe Lee. And I've been so impressed with Joe Lee this season, with the way he's cut in from the flank and really formed a great partnership with Tade when he's on. He's quick feet, and he's certainly an exciting young player.
Well, it'd be interesting as well, because I think Lee's in a different role today. I think he is more central, with Gillian named out wide and looks to have started on that right wing side, but Lee may perhaps have more of an opportunity through the middle of the park, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts and perhaps plays through the middle more so than we've seen him be so effective out wide. Here's Mitchell now. Mitchell and Brotherton have really just had a stranglehold on the centre-back pairing here at Auckland City, and that's saying something because there's some quality ready to step in if either of these two players. Brotherton on the ball now, and now Mitchell. Thank you, fellas. Just exchange a couple of passes while we chat about you, but they've been impressive, haven't they?
They have. They've been rock solid all season for Auckland City.
Got eager, looking to effect a slide rule pass for Manicum.
They've also popped up with the odd goal here and there, both Mitchell and Brotherton. So they do have some, obviously some positive aspects, particularly from set pieces.
Searle back out there, and he does have the matching strapping, but we will keep a close eye. One thing Melville doesn't have, I mean, does anyone, is the depth of Auckland City. Brotherton is beaten there. No, says the referee. Well, Brotherton certainly looked at first glance there to be manhandling Oliver Colotti. Reed Drake, he escapes Aaron Scott, and Drake sliding that through. Well covered though, and now Scott can set something up again for Melville perhaps. What did you think, Harry? I thought Brotherton might have had hands on Colotti there.
Yeah, look, when you look at some of the decisions given in the World Cup in Qatar, you think, well, that's probably would have got blown up. But look, Auckland City controlling the tempo in the first sort of 7-8 minutes.
Certainly, the opening 7.5 minutes confirm our thoughts prior to kickoff, and that is that Melville will be up for the scrap. They'll see this as their own little cup final here. Manicum. Drake. Manicum. Great chance, well saved, Tommy. Just stayed big, and then at the last moment smothered the shot from Dylan Manicum, the threat of the quick feet of the Auckland City number 10.
Yeah, he's definitely, when he gets in those sort of positions in and around the box, and they love to play those 1-2 passes or the quick passing in and around. They play around the corners really quickly to Auckland City. He's worked that into a great position to strike on goal. Max Tommy was up to it.
De Vries has copped another little stinger.
The other thing from a psychological perspective, Andrew, is that, I mean, we've already seen a couple of sort of niggly injuries, whether it's to De Vries or to, on the other side, to Luke Searle. But I guess from a Melville side, if you're really pushing hard and really putting pressure, high tempo pressure on Auckland City, and these players, I know with a cup final next week, you're trying to avoid those confrontational instances from time to time. So I guess that would work in favour of Melville. He's definitely got, if they can finish as high up the table as they can, they still have an opportunity to finish third. So.
Driven towards goal, Brotherton. You mentioned one goal, Manicum couldn't get it down quickly enough. Melville scrambling. Yes, Auckland United's win earlier this afternoon have snuffed out those chances for Melville, but they'll nonetheless want to finish with the 5 wins in a row if they can. It really has been quite the end to their campaign. And of course, I believe, Harry, that's the last game in charge for Sam Wilkinson. So they'll want to send their coach out. I don't have any other background to that.
Yeah.
I just read that Sam is finishing up and has done a great job with this group, and I'm sure they want to send him off on a high.
Oh, look, absolutely. be great to send them off on a win this afternoon, particularly here at Auckland City, where we know it's been so difficult for teams to come here and play.
Gillian, good defensive work by Campbell Brown. Reed Drake. Brotherton might try one, and alert to the danger. Raheem Hunter got there to block the shot. He does have a very cultured left foot, does Sam Brotherton, often with those raking 40 and 50 metre passes, but you wouldn't want to give him too much of a sight on goal.
Ready?
Alfie Rogers will be one to watch this afternoon for Auckland City. I mentioned coming back from injury. Saw him being put through his paces last week at this venue prior to the match against Miramar. A bit of a fitness test as Max Tommy collects that one comfortably.
Take your time, get up, get up,
So
get up.
he just adds yet another piece of the puzzle.
Gotta get the second one, Dylan, second one. Justin, up and in, come on, go, go, go.
Lots of communication from the respective benches as Hunter dives in there to win it. As Reed Drake gets a free kick, and immediately you can see it's the protest from Oliver Calotti as well. What about me getting manhandled about 4 or 5 minutes ago, sir?
He's been kind of the catalyst for the form of Melville over the last few weeks. Calotti 5 goals in the last 4 games. So definitely when you lose someone like Galatli, who has been one of their better players as well, having someone to step in instantly like Oliver Calotti has, it's been great for Sam Wilkinson.
Come on.
Drake.
Come on.
Looking for the run of Takuya Iwata. This was the earlier play from Rogers. I mentioned we'll keep an eye on him. That's a good sign that he's prepared to get forward into the penalty area.
Get round him, do.
Dowling now for Melville. So Auckland City, they do sit on top of the table currently, and it's a little unusual because football fans are so used to the idea of goal difference being the tiebreak, if you like. But in a one-round National League, on the back of winter football, it's much easier, of course, for the head-to-head to be the tiebreak.
Yeah.
And of course, Auckland City defeated Wellington Olympic in the first round, didn't they, Harry? So
That's right.
so that's keeping them above Olympic. Same point. So if they win here this afternoon, then they will go into the final as the #1 ranked team, for what that's worth.
Yeah, well, you just keep looking at the goals. I mean, Wellington Olympics goal difference is plus 19.
Good, go.
Obviously, they're playing
Get up with them all.
later on tomorrow, actually, against Miramar Rangers. So a local derby in Wellington to finish off the season.
The Auckland City's goal difference is 10 worse at plus 9, but as I say, they won that clash with Olympic in, if memory serves me, controversial circumstances. But Olympic felt they were hard done by, and they've had a bit of a chip on the shoulder ever since. And what have they done since? They've gone through the rest of the campaign unbeaten. Here's De Vries. De Vries with a chance, edge of the area. He does not miss those opportunities, Ryan De Vries. And Auckland City will play this game from in front. Ryan De Vries picking up his 3rd goal of the campaign. He's this season been used as something of almost a bit part tight player, but taking his opportunity, and they lead 1-0.
Well, what a way to potentially go into Well, you are going into a final with your leading goal scorer hitting some form. Well, what a beautiful finish from Ryan de Vries. Max Tommy doing all the right things, coming up to narrow the angle, but beautiful little dink from Ryan de Vries to find the back of the net.
Well, I reckon Albireira is talking to Garriga. That was the voice we were hearing, because I don't know that he's talking Spanish to Sam Brotherton. So I think the message was being sent to his countryman, Gerard Garriga, and now Garriga is out there passing on the instruction. That's fascinating. So a little Espanol is used as the primary communication. And sad news there for Luke Searle, with confirmation that he is not able to overcome that very, very early injury, and replaced by Braden Quilter Phipps. So the task for Melville just got that much harder. They're behind and they lose one of their more experienced players.
We'll just see Braden Quilter Phipps there. The substitute's also got quite a heavy strapping on his knee as well, so he swapped one knee for the other on the looks of things. But yeah, unfortunate for Luke Searle that he couldn't continue this afternoon. We've also got the likes of Aaron Scott that can also slot back in a defensive role as well. So they will have to move some parts around if that is the case. But yeah, Scott is going to maintain his role in that central midfield position for Melville for now anyway.
Well, they trailed last week against Napier, Melville, so and they have been involved in some high-scoring games, haven't they? They've often won games, by the odd goal in 5, 6, or 7. Not that you can have an odd goal in 6, but you get my drift. They do win high-scoring games, so perhaps going behind won't be as daunting as it might otherwise have been. Dowling now for Melville. Immediately into the area, and it is Aaron Scott who was the most advanced. Manicum now, what can he launch on the counter? Just shepherded across the middle of the park by Liam Hayes. Oh, and Alfie Rogers has stood on the football. Gets back up and maintains possession. Drake almost fooled himself with the little dummy there. And now it's Melville's turn. Dowling couldn't launch quickly on the counter.
I was just going to say that, Andrew, as well. They were quite sort of slow with that counter-attack because they did have numbers out wide. That the pass to Stafford Dowling was just behind him and not hit with a lot of pace to get him forward.
Hunter looking for the run of Colotti.
Much better, Brayden, much better.
Hayes looks to release Dowling. Across was Garriga to intervene.
Get him fucking moving. Brayden, much better. Don't fucking compete.
A little bit of colour coming through from the ground, bit of passion. There's the substitutes. Quilter Phipps, as you mentioned, Harry, with that heavy strapping. And Iwata. Lagos has done well to at least keep the ball in play. Auckland City strength in numbers, though. They play their way out of a tough situation beautifully. Might have been a little luck with one or two passes there, but they've got the confidence and the technical ability to do it.
Yeah, they are very good in tight areas. A number of good players with, with good feet. Reed Drake, Dylan Manicum. Even at the back, they're pretty confident and competent as well, with Sam Brotherton and Adam Mitchell as well.
Certainly this man, Iwata, is as effectively employed as a winger as he is a fullback, so he's got no shortage of skill with the ball at his feet either. He's invited into the game now. Drake forced to turn out by Jerson Lagos. Iwata. You can see, Harry, they're not, unless they're dictated to, they're not likely to deliver a cross, are they? We'll stay with Melville for the moment here, possibly on the counter-attack. And Hayes is not happy, and I think Melville are a little hot under the collar here. They feel in the opening 22 minutes that they haven't had a call go their way.
Well, I also think on that occasion, that would have been a bit of a harsh free kick, because I think Auckland City have been much quicker with the ball. They've been much quicker, better energy, I think, about them when they are getting the ball forward. I think Melville have two or three times they've had the chance to break quite quickly. I guess their ball speed and their technique, I guess, has let them down a couple of times. Balls have been played behind players instead of in front to push them forward. They're quite happy to in those wide areas, if it's not on, to check out and go back out. So they're not willing to force things at the moment, which is which you can expect and can imagine at this point in time in the game. But you have had chances to really push players forward at times, and I think Birkenhead have done it extremely well. Auckland United, we've seen them done it extremely well against Auckland City in previous games, where we really press them high up the park and don't let them play.
Confirmation that Hayes for Melville was booked, as Kiwitea now with a bit of space. Dowling's shot is blocked, and Alfie Rogers comes away with possession and rolls a pass here for De Vries. I think perhaps his days of a 40-metre run on goal might be in his past, but he still provides a good linking pass. Then it breaks down, and now Melville look to counter very quickly. So Hayes was booked for his back chat with the referee. We're also hearing, Harry, that the Spanish that we were hearing is not indeed Albert Riera, but another Spaniard on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think it was Zubukarai, the goalkeeper coach. I think Albert Riera has become a father sometime soon. So it's Zubukarai and I guess Ivan Visilic as well.
Manicum might get a foot in here. Well read by Max Tommy. Had to be alert.
They've been given the reins this afternoon, I would imagine.
It's not bad, is it? We talk about the depth on the playing side of things when the head coach is...
depth on the bench as well from a coaching perspective.
Family duties dictate that Riera is away. You've got a bloke called Visilic and vastly experienced goalkeeper. And Zubukarai, chance. Kiwitea just didn't fall. Flag was up. Wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, Auckland City can't afford to go to sleep because this man has been on form the last few weeks.
So not the biggest of crowds here at Kiwitea Street, perhaps knowing that their spot in the grand final is booked, but they're no less vocal. Small but passionate group of supporters who will sing their way through most of the afternoon in support of their team, and the team are very aware of that passion, and they're often very quick to acknowledge the support that they do receive. Drake now. Lee, he will run at players, but as I say, doing it more centrally this afternoon. Mitchell just allowing that one to roll through for Connor Tracy. Brotherton sets off over the halfway line. De Vries is coming deep into midfield. Point I started to make a couple of minutes ago, Harry, was interrupted by the situation with Liam Hayes. Ryan De Vries is often coming out of that high position when wide players receive the ball. It's an indication that it's not in their playbook today to deliver crosses from wide.
I think when you've got De Vries leading the line, he does like to come short, and he is often the first receiver and getting balls out of midfield or from wide areas at the back when they're playing the ball forward. So the likes of Joe Lee, Dylan Manicum, Reed Drake, you know, it's up to them to make those runs in behind Ryan De Vries. And here he is on the halfway line again. So he's not unaccustomed to this sort of role. We've seen him, you know, play the high line previously, or lead the line, being that number 9, pushing right on the back of the central defenders.
Certainly think it, and it's very much it's a part of, I say modern football, it's been around for years, but you know, teams will get into those wide positions, and gosh, if you go back 20, 25 years, often you get wide and the instruction was simply get the ball in the box, get the cross in.
That's right.
Whereas modern football's evolved, hasn't it? And we often see teams come back out of those corners and pass into the penalty area.
I think they're more patient as well, you know. I think you're right. There was a time when it was, you know, can we get the ball forward as quickly as we can, and can we get it wide, and can we get a crossing?
Well,
you know?
How much time in your career did you spend just getting on the end of crosses, you know, and chasing crosses? It's the game has evolved and changed. Here's Gillian. Gillian allowed to run and then forced wide again. That's good defensive work by Melville. Stayed patient. Now Lee, look out for that left foot of his. Manicum, De Vries. Try to create room for the shot. Now they do go wide. Iwata. Drake ran into the challenge, and then the second was very effective from John Oakman.
As much as they are or have been very good when they do get the ball wide, Auckland City, they love to be able to, we just seen before, the passes, Manicum in and around the box. Tade and Joe Lee have been, it's been kind of their great partnership so far this year. But those quick balls, they love to play wee balls in and around corners into players, back flicks, or, you know, no-look passes. They are very good at this type of football in and around the box.
Manicum, little step over. Lee couldn't control. Does get a shot on goal. Good reaction save from Max Tommy. And a snapshot there from Joe Lee with what appeared to be little or no room.
What's also really, I guess, will be comforting for, I mean, Veselic and Zubikarai on the bench as well, as much as their lead-up play and their possession play and they're dictating the tempo, they are, you know, they're getting into the box, they're getting shots on goal.
Cleared away by the substitute Quilter Phipps. Gillian. Rogers invited into the attack. Scott repels his attempted pass into the penalty area. Gillian, though, pinches it off Dowling. And Auckland City just winning the 50-50s here. De Vries, Gillian's gone down. May well have been under his own steam. Or did he get his heels clipped there? Scored the opener against Miramar. just on a week ago at this same ground, as just a halt in proceedings here, because this will be a real concern. Alfie Rogers, who has spent a large part of the season injured.
You can just see Gerard Garriga there just signal to the bench that's a blow to his, like a clash or a knock to the knee.
So unrelated, you would think, to his prior injury concerns, and the indication there from the physio is he'll be fine. Testing the knee in every which way possible.
Looks like he's getting a full service there, Alfie Rogers.
Confirmation of the points table. This is live after Auckland United's win this afternoon over Napier City Rovers, so they currently sit in third. So Melville United, even if they were to win this, they would go to 16 points, can't catch Auckland. Auckland City, if you were to take the 3 points they currently have in this game, they would of course jump up to 22 points. I'm sure though the results for both Auckland City today and Wellington Olympic tomorrow is less important on this occasion than the performance. I think they want to go in with confidence high and players fit and having played some good football. I guess,
well,
Harry, that usually leads to a win, doesn't it?
I mean, you play every game to win, right? But I guess, as I said before, players do have that. As long as the game goes on, they know they've got a big game coming up next week. So it's personal game management. You look after yourself. You do the right things and try and stay out of trouble.
Rogers back up and involved, looks to be okay. Drake. Second week in a row that Mario Ilic has not been available for Auckland City, and he's largely been ever present at the base of that midfield. He's that distributor, and missing last week. I spoke with Albert Riera, and he said it was a combination of illness, but also has a bit of an ankle concern, but not in the squad again today. I haven't heard any more of an update, but it does open the door, an opportunity for others, and possibly Reed Drake in particular, to see if he can own that role of being the key creator from midfield. Here is Drake. Melville with a high press, trying to force the mistake.
It's well played by Auckland City, because Melville did step up in energy there to try and close Auckland City down and push them back into their own 18-yard box. They worked the ball well on that right-hand side.
Brotherton, there is one of those attempted raking passes, a switch of play. Rogers. Lagos with a clever little piece of play, but Melville still struggling to clear the danger here. Aaron Scott with a little flick of the football, but Auckland City bossing possession as they often do. 35 minutes played, and they lead 1-0 courtesy of Ryan de Vries. Lee, by default, he will almost always end up cutting back onto that left foot. Brotherton, who is similar in his preference for the left side. Kiwitea for Gillian. First touch saw possession almost bobble away.
Auckland City able to win the ball straight back as they do turn possession over. They have been more often than not first that second phase ball as well, which is really difficult for Melville to. We saw them break 2 or 3 times inside the first 15 minutes. Really able to complete significant, problems for Auckland City.
Well, this is impressive from Auckland City. The final pass just misplaced a little. As Reid Drake empties the tank, trying to keep it in play. But they really starting to boss the game now. Melville need to try and get a foothold, need to get some possession. You cannot defend and play without the ball against a side the quality of
first and second
Auckland
ball
City
in here.
and not be at risk of conceding more goals. Let's see what they can build here through Brown. It's poor. Even worse because the fullback in making the pass had started to run in support, so is at risk of being caught out. Auckland City, though, have just taken the sting out of the play. Kiwitea turns, exits the centre circle, allowed to run. Manicum, de Vries for Manicum.
Fill the gaps.
De Vries, don't give him a shot on goal. Gillian, they're playing with their backs to goal here, Auckland City, but they continue to threaten. Kiwitea scrapping for every piece of possession that he can try and get.
They just need to keep hold of the ball for a period of time. Melville, even if it is sort of just in these sort of areas where there's a exchange of passes along the back line, it goes back out to the left, back out to the right, but at least this, they're getting their composure, setting things up as they move forward, and then they can play the ball forward.
Get off it, Joe. Joe.
Nice throw, just allowing Kiwitea to gain some momentum. Then he just pirouettes on the spot, looking for support. Dowling's come across onto this right wing side. He was one of the goal scorers in their win last week.
John, you get on it. John on throw.
John Oakman might fancy the long throw here. I think that's what they're setting up for. Then they go short, so the flick from Hayes. Williams back to Hunter. And now Quilter Phipps all the way back to Max Tommy, who goes route one stuff, keeper to keeper. Dowling letting Manicum know that he was there, but Auckland City break that press momentarily. Now Hayes for Melville. Can they launch on the counter? Dowling does have some pace. Kiwitea back to close him down. Look at the support coming from De Vries as well. And that is superb tracking from the veteran striker.
Yeah, we talked about support from De Vries, but unfortunately Dowling had no support from a red shirt, kind of running into a dead alley there.
Dylan, drop down, Dylan.
2v1 situation in favour of Auckland City.
Mitchell advances, continues his run. The centre-back is right now playing right wing as he loops back at the top of our screen and heads back towards the halfway line. Lee. You've just got to be so touch tight on Joe Lee. Given up cheaply by Melville again. Auckland City, they are dominating the possession stakes and certainly playing the majority of their football in the Melville half, albeit when they've got anywhere near the penalty area, a lot of it's been with their backs to goal. Kiwitea down to the byline. Is he taken? No, there's a touch of the football. Corner. Gosh, that was well timed by Oakman. Heart and mouth stuff for just a moment.
It was a great ball too out of the back. I think it was Brotherton. It's a beautiful ball.
No complaints from
Concentrate. See you now.
Kiwitea. Even at second glance, though, it was a challenge to find the contact on the football from Oakman, but it was well timed. Kiwitea now. That's a teaser, isn't it? Max Tommy had to get a piece of that and did well.
Steph, be ready. Come together.
Rogers does go direct this time. Max Tommy again is gainfully employed as the Melville custodian. Williams has made the advanced run, but the effort from Jerson Lagos was not great to try and find him, and now they're back on their heels again. Gillian. Look at the numbers of defenders back. Melville really are sitting with a deep line defensively, and often Auckland City with their patient build-up, if they do break, if they're on the counter-attack, they just don't have numbers, do they, Auckland City? Melville are...
We saw that earlier with the ball from Lagos was he just had one touch too many, because I think Williams had made a good run, good penetrating run, looking for that ball.
They will gladly pass you to death, Auckland City. But when they strike, boy, they have some firepower. Kiwitea for Gariga. Rogers.
Ollie, just drop down. Just stop the 8. Stop the 8 dictating. On.
Gariga. Oh, what a pass that is. Almost reading the run of Liam Gillian. And that's what you've got to be alert to. It's the diagonal run of the player to meet the pass almost in a completely different direction. Colotti now for Melville.
Get with him. Time build up here now.
Can Melville take a page from the Auckland City playbook and just build up patiently here through Hunter? Hayes, who carries that booking for dissents early in the match. Gariga has a choice of teammates, decides on Gillian. Gillian down to the byline, into the area. Gillian squares it across, eluding Manicum. Hayes now can advance towards halfway.
John, come on, come on.
Again, has to check, looking for support.
Still threatening behind on still. If Ollie's dropped still, you're higher. Cross. Dylan.
One over the top for Dowling to chase. And he goes for the early cross, and no sign of Kiwitea there, just didn't have time to get in and support the attack.
Again, too many players, well, a lot of players at the back for Melville, so they're quite happy to just try and stay organised at the back, but in terms of getting players forward, they're really reluctant to push players forward. I mean, Dowling made a great run. It was a nice ball over the top, but there was just no one in the middle for him to try and hit. Just being cautious at the moment, Melville, but on the flip side, you want to keep those defenders, Brotherton and Mitchell, guessing. So getting those runners into the box, forcing them to defend. At the moment, it's just too easy for the two at the back.
Rogers pinching possession from Lagos, and into the second of the 3 minutes of time added on at the end of the first half here. Ryan de Vries with the only goal of the match, scored in the 15th minute. And it was something of a breakdown in this Melville defence that will have disappointed Sam Wilkinson, their coach. Dowling overbalancing, recovers. There's one over the top for Kiwitea to chase. Surely the flag goes up here. Kiwitea, yes. He couldn't believe his luck. He almost slowed and gave himself up. There's no way he was that far clear and onside. At least, Harry, there was a counter-attack. There was a player available, albeit offside. And Dowling was quick to try and find Kiwitea in that situation. When you're playing this sort of a game, the onus really is on that striker, isn't it? Leading the line to constantly be a threat, constantly be available, and importantly, constantly be onside.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, and if you're Oliver Kiwitea and sort of leading the line, you kind of need support in behind you as well. So on that occasion, yeah, just a timing of his run. He was offside by a number of yards, but as he said, it only takes one where he does come from an onside position. But again, you need that support in from behind. This is better from Melville.
The high press almost getting a result. Brotherton with time almost up on the clock here. He might just try and get out of danger. And the only danger over the next 15 minutes is perhaps for Melville United in terms of listening to and understanding. They're not going to get a serve. They're not going to get a spray. They're in the contest, but they will get some instruction perhaps on how better they can turn defence into attack. It's that man, Ryan de Vries, with the only goal of the game in the 15th minute. And it is Auckland City that lead Melville here at Kiwitea Street at half-time by 1-0. Half-time here at Kiwitea Street. Let's take the opportunity to enjoy some of the goals from the Women's National League.
Lovely ball is Prince. Prince across the face of goal. Here's a goal. Ball laid into the path of Kennedy Bryant for her second. And that was an absolutely cutting-edge attack from Southern United. Lovely ball in behind the defence. Prince did the build-up work and Bryant applied the finishing touch.
Atkins swinging this one and Simon's nowhere. And it's a goal from Taylor O'Brien. Who else? The Eastern Suburbs.
Lovely ball through for Devon Jackson. has a little shot. Oh, lovely place there by Devon Jackson. Nice little side foot. Pass to Samoa. 2-0 Eastern Suburbs. That's enough enthusiastic Eastern Suburbs crowd there tonight.
Bree Johnson now, again down this left-hand flank. Ruby Nathan a lot of time to pick her pick a shot.
Number 2 for
Ruby
Nathan. Just curled that round. Any foot, unable to get anywhere near that one. She had so much time as well.
O'Brien, lovely bit of work past Jaden Watts inside the box. Taylor O'Brien, and it's a third goal for Nicola Metten. A wonderful bit of work on the right hand side from Taylor O'Brien, and a comfortable finish from Nicole Metten.
It's a complete all-round team that works hard for each other.
Oh, Takeda. Oh! What a great goal by Takeda. Borland, she cuts on the inside onto her left foot, strikes it perfectly into the top left-hand corner.
Borland, far post. Oh, lovely bit of
Oh,
work.
what a goal!
Lara Smith. What a wonderful strike. She can't believe it herself.
Jackson gets a little touch off too. Wilfred Carroll has a shot. Oh! It is a shot and a half. Wilfred Carroll. That's a sucker punch right there for Western Springs. And what a left-footed rocket by Wilfred Carroll.
Madison, wayward pass. Hirano intercepts it on that occasion. Garcia, Hirano now, one-on-one. Here's Hirano. Oh, great footwork. And it's in. It is a goal from Hirano. Well, thought that one may get away from her, but she did choose to find the back of the net on that occasion. Bina Hirano. A bit of pressure paying off for Western Springs. Now, one-on-one with Ulavili does well. And on target, what a strike! Petra Buick. Fantastic strike. What a run from the substitute. Thoroughly deserved too. She's been quite the star for Canterbury since she's been on. Trying to force things. What a fantastic strike by her. Settle again. Yoshida again opens her body up so well. Allows her to play that one first time. A shot from Yoshida, and it's a goal. Michaela Foster could not get to that one. It's Saki Yoshida. The third goal for Eastern Suburbs this afternoon. Well worked goal from Yoshida.
Oh, lovely turn. That's beautiful from Painenberg. And she released the pass. She does to Colby. Best football of the match so far. To the edge of the penalty area. And that is the best goal of the match. And that is superb. Tāwhuru with the finish. But beautifully crafted. And it all started with Emma Painenberg. What a turn in midfield. And releasing Colby. And again, she found a teammate with the cross. Half-time here at Kiwitea Street as we enjoy the goals from the National Women's League, and so many of them scored by Northern League players. Look at that list of top goal scorers. Totally dominated by the Northern teams and by Taylor O'Brien. 16 goals. She scored 4 from memory on day one of the competition, has just carried on to good effect. A confirmation of results and matches this weekend. Capital defeating Western Springs, and Canterbury United 7-1 over Auckland United. So it's not going the way of the Northern teams today. Central look to get their first point of their campaign against Southern tomorrow on Sky Sport Next. And at 1 o'clock on Sky Sport 2, it is table topping Eastern Suburbs against Northern Rovers. Confirmation of that points table with Western Springs not able to make up any ground on Eastern Suburbs today. And Auckland United on the back of that thumping, they sit second bottom. Central, as mentioned, yet to pick up a point in this campaign. Well, a few of the goals and an updated league table for the women. How about a few goals for the National Men's League? Let's look back on a few of the highlights of this season so far. Sorry, of this game. We're looking at this game first. And let's have a look at the half-time highlights here from the first half. This is the goal, Harry. Beautifully taken, wasn't it, by Ryan De Vries?
Yeah, absolutely. Loose defending there. See Luke Searle, we know he's had his issues in the first couple of minutes, having that sort of knee injury. Both his knees are strapped, but De Vries able to get in between central defenders and finish. What a beautiful finish it was. Dylan Manikim has always been kind of at the heart of things in and around the box for Auckland City too. They love to play those little balls in and around each other. Here we see again Manikim evolved well, and it was Joe Lee testing the hands of Matt Tommy on that occasion. A lot of what they did do going forward, Auckland City did eventuate in either a strike on goal or getting players in behind the wide players for Melville.
Well, this is the second of two matches being played today, and earlier it was Napier City Rovers trying to finish their season on a high, but it was Auckland United, Middleton, with that opportunity was a sign of things to come. That was straight at Mason. This one played at Kiwitea Park, and this also was a sign of things to come. Young Sam Lack with a teasing ball in. It led to a collision. It saw McNamara booked. And Macquarie was okay, but here's the first goal. Zambrano, the initial clearance, and Middleton had the composure to slot that one away, and Auckland United had the lead. Middleton was not going to miss from a similar position to that earlier one that he struck straight at the keeper. But have a look at this, Harry. Look at that little piece of skill here from Sam Lack. What a quality goal from a very promising young player. And cross driven in here by Stephen Zambrano with a bullet header. Couldn't help it, really. Just made contact and diverted the cross at 100 miles an hour. So Auckland United went in complete control though. Here's Lack, should have done better, created the space, but this is nosebleed stuff for Ross Haviland. He plays the pass, and Ross Haviland's not done. Here he comes. Another chance. The skipper, the centre back, gets what would prove to be the crucial goal. Well taken, the second time of asking. And they needed that because Napier City Rovers were not done. McNamara with a tidy finish at the near post. And that put the frighteners on Auckland United for the closing few minutes, but they held on and won it by 3-2. Let's now have a look back at some of the top goals from the National Men's League this season.
Reset nicely, but now Watson's got a chance here. Good ball. Here's a big chance for that player slipping over. And the chance is taken. It's Mason Smith. Sam Mason Smith knows how to finish. His fourth goal of the National League, and Miramar reclaim the lead.
This is a long strike from Howison, and it's cleared the goalkeeper, caught him completely unawares with the wind, and that is one of the best long-range goals you'll ever see.
Are we picking goal of the season already from Cam Howison? I think so.
Careful not to give a free kick away, but just looking to block his line of sight. If nothing else, Knight tries to come out and doesn't get there. Perhaps Zambrano was doing the right thing, and there is the goal. So he jumps out from having gotten away of the keeper legally, and then he's the first one to react. So Auckland United are level, and Zambrano
becomes the second United player this season to go beyond 1 goal. That's his second.
There's a ball for a Melville player this time. It has. It's a third goal and they take the lead in the game. And it's Kiwitea who scored it. Well, all this pressure coming from these corners had to count for something in the end for Melville, and it has.
Letley's casual with receiving that ball. And now the space here for Jacob Richards. Oh, that's a fine finish by Jacob Richards. And it came from a Melville United mistake in midfield, but there's no doubting the quality of this volley.
Switch of play. That might be the only way Joe Lee gets possession is with a 40-metre pass. Shuffles in Tade, hits his spot and hits the back of the net. And there is the threat, there is the danger. And Auckland United pay the biggest price. And Emi Tade scores again for Auckland City.
Rover, Matt Todd Smith switches it back onto his right foot. That's a decent run, and that is a decent goal. A more than decent goal, in fact. William Pearce and Miramar Rangers have been opened up with a lovely piece of play and creativity by Christchurch United.
United on the counter now. An opportunity through Zambrano to use the full width of the pitch down this left wing side. Opportunity for Faye, the under-20 international, and they got the opening goal. And that is stunning. What a finish on the volley from Zambrano. And that is counter-attacking football at its best. Soaking up the pressure, United. And within 2 or 3 passes, the ball is in the back of the net. Auckland City are both lucky, but they still give possession away. So shooting opportunity, deflection, just hits the post. And on the rebound, they scored early. This is a stunning opening from Birkenhead, and it's their captain, Sam Burfoot, who scores. And it seems incredible after just 3.5 minutes to say that it's been coming, but it has.
Here is Tade with Howison sweeping forward. This is looking likely here for Auckland City. Howison early ball in, and there is the goal, beautifully done. Ryan de Vries opens the scoring. Superb combinations from the attacking trio.
So some of the goals of the season, and appropriate perhaps that we concluded that package here at Kiwitea Street, which is where we return to for the second half. Final 45 minutes in the regular season for these two teams. Auckland City, we know, will play in the grand final. Melville United under Sam Wilkinson with a first foray at this level of the game, with a number of players inexperienced at this level. Certainly not that man. Aaron Scott brings more experience than most at all levels of the game, but Auckland City start the second half with that 1-0 lead. Harry, how do Melville change the tempo? How do they change the pattern of that first half? Do they have it within them? Can they try and dictate terms a little differently?
Well, we've seen the last 4 games, they've scored a bag full of goals. 4-3 against Napier last week, 3-2 against Miramar the week before that, 2-0 against Birkenhead, 5-2 against Christchurch the week. So they've got goals in them. You know, no Ryan Lawrence. Obviously, he's been on form this season. Obviously, Galetli's no longer, he's taken an opportunity across in Australia. As you said, so Kiwitea 5 goals the last 4 games. They need to be more aggressive. I think they've got to play on the front foot. There's only 1 goal in it at the moment, so they still have a lot to play for, Melville. I guess from a season perspective, again, if they can continue this form and get themselves back into this game to give them a little bit of confidence in the closing stages, then who knows what we can see towards the end of this game, because Auckland City be wanting, they know they've got a big game coming up next week, so I assume coaches Visilic and Zubakarai will be going to their bench and making a number of changes in some key personnel as long as this game goes on.
I've just seen a confirmation of a change for Melville with Dylan Williams replaced by Isaac Bates. And Hayes it is. on the edge of the penalty area, but Auckland City clear their lines, so promising start here for Melville, albeit very early, but at least getting the football into the right areas. Turned over though, De Vries. They can ill afford to go behind, they can ill afford to gift a second goal. Lee goes back and gets possession, and now Melville have a rear guard action set up and ready. Iwata. And again, a decision that draws the ire of Melville. They are not happy with the way this one's being officiated. There's been a pattern of this right from the opening whistle, it has to be said. And Liam Hayes talked himself into a booking early on in that first half. Manicum somehow wriggles away. Manicum trying to find room for the shot. Melville eventually doing enough, but Auckland City still, Gillian, a little nutmeg, but it's only a nutmeg if you get possession back again. Gariga. Well, it was a good opening 60 seconds for Melville, but has normal transmission resumed here. Hayes allowed to run, almost encouraged to run into that alleyway. Dowling has taken a deflection, but Connor Tracy makes sure that a corner is not conceded.
Again, they're really pedestrian. Melville getting players forward and support. It wasn't a bad ball across. It was a tight ball, but nonetheless, there's only one player in the box for Melville, and that cross did come in.
Strong challenge from Campbell Brown is well received by the travelling supporters, and equally the decision of the officials to give Melville a throw. So there's plenty of feeling. This may be last game of the season with nothing really riding on it as Iwata gets into the area, going down. Handball penalty. Penalty is given here. And yet something else here now for the Melville players to complain. I think Hayes could be in trouble here. If it's Hayes that said something else,
he has got his red
he's
cup.
sent off. Liam Hayes is sent off. And the referee doesn't want a bar of any further conversation. Hayes has been sent off. And both yellow cards, Harry, you have to assume from our vantage point are for back chat.
Yeah, purely from the looks of things, purely discipline from, or lack of discipline from Liam Hayes. Yeah, there were a couple of decisions in the first half that didn't go their way. And this one was for a handball. You could say even
certainly handled
Hunter
it. Certainly hit the ball, but the
was
question for Oakman was he being fouled? Was that what forced John Oakman to hit the deck? It's a penalty. So confirmation it was dissent again for Liam Hayes. That's all it could be really. And referee Kelvin Berg was very quick to go for the second yellow card. So Joe Lee with an opportunity from the penalty spot to give his team a level of comfort early in the second half. And Melville are down to 10. And I think the delay is whilst Liam Hayes makes his way off the park. It was about as far away from the dressing rooms as you could be sent off here at Kiwitea Street, so it was almost a bus ticket. There he goes. So a sad end to the season for Hayes. Lee from the penalty spot. Lee scores. The keeper went the right way, Max Tommy, but Lee had enough on it to double the lead. And Melville now down to 10 with a mountain to climb here at Kiwitea Street.
Good clinical finish from, clinical penalty from Joe Lee. Max Tommy guessing the right way, but too much pace on that spot kick. It may now give, you know, Auckland City a chance to now to potentially make a couple of changes, or let's see, Adam Mitchell there. So Tade is taking the armband.
Oh, that's great for Melville, isn't it? You're down to 10, you're 2-0 down, and a bloke called Tade comes on. My goodness. So a little dress rehearsal here for next week's grand final, as we also see at the bottom of our picture Christian Gray, who's not had a lot of football this year.
Yeah, I think it's purely a case of now of managing workload for Auckland City. Tade and Gray coming on.
Well, Melville will have to find some composure where on a couple of occasions there has not been any. And I say that, Harry, with some sympathy, that players and teams, you can feel that the world's against you sometimes with decisions,
again,
but you're never going to win a heated argument with an official.
And you're always going to get decisions that aren't going to go your way. You're going to feel, you know, you're going to feel aggrieved. You're going to be hot-headed. You're going to have discussion. You know, you're going to say things that, in the heat of the moment, which I'm sure is what Liam Hayes did on a couple of occasions there. But you know, to lose your discipline when you're only down 1-0, and it's the last game of the regular season for your side, you get a chance to finish potentially in 4th place after what's been a fantastic last 5 weeks for Melville. This is really an unfortunate way for it to finish.
Gillian, Auckland City will be perhaps having one eye on that final as Gillian volleys. Oh, almost. He has the technique, you know, to finish that. It could well have been spectacular. It wasn't.
Great ball to the far post. He connected well with it, but just wasn't able to connect to keep it down. He's had a sharp game, a lot of energy. Liam Gillian.
We'll have that final for you Sunday next week, the 4th of December, 2 o'clock kickoff at Mount Smart Stadium. So Wellington Olympic, I'm sure, will be, if not watching now, ahead of their final game tomorrow against Miramar. They'll certainly watch some tape. Two teams that will be able to do all the research they need. There are very few secrets these days with streaming and live coverage of just about every game. I was saying, Harry, Auckland City, I think, and you alluded to this earlier, they'll have one eye on that final, especially now they're against a team down to 10. They'll just got to be careful. Yeah. Eyes in the back of the head stuff here now.
They still need to do the right things. They still need to, to have the right attitude. They need to finish. I mean, we're talking 55 minutes now, but they've a couple of changes with Tade and Christian Gray coming on, so they're definitely resting some legs for next week, and they'll continue to do that throughout the course of the last half an hour of this game as well. I'm sure we'll see them clear the bench. Yeah, but they just have to manage it appropriately now. Do the right things,
Scott wins the ball. De Vries has stayed down. Dowling. Melville down to 10. They've got to grab each and every attacking opportunity that they can. And Ryan De Vries is not happy back on the halfway line and will receive some attention. And this is the danger. That if Melville lose their discipline, it could be Auckland City that are on the other end of it and pay a price. Now, I'll be clear, that wasn't ruled a foul. It was contact, but the referee ruled here that Aaron Scott gets the football, but he certainly catches the left foot as well of Ryan De Vries. Bit of the cold spray. So, Zubikarai, who, along with Ivan Visilic, we assume that Ivan Visilic will have ultimate control of proceedings this afternoon in the absence of Albert Riera. But they will just have to manage their team. It's difficult to put everyone, of course, in cotton wool, but there might be one or two players that they would be keen to protect, if you like, ahead of that grand final.
Yeah, they just can't get sucked into anything, confrontational. Auckland City, they just got to keep their discipline, keep their organisation, keep their ball speed up. I mean, they've obviously it's been a huge part of their game is the way they move the ball. So let's just maintain those winning habits, doing the right things, making every ball count.
Brotherton, who passes now to a stranger in the back four, Christian Gray, who has come off the bench, replacing Mitchell. Rogers, very adept again, Auckland City, with passing in close quarter situations. Tade eludes Dowling. Scotts, Lagos, Rogers. So far so good for Alfie Rogers on his return from injury. Clever ball from Tade. Gillian keeps it in play. Just. Rogers. Just again keeping it in, but forced out towards the corner flag.
Come on, Melville, see it out, keep working, keep working.
Back to this pattern that we saw in the first half, and of course the numbers now favour Auckland City even more to maintain possession. Drake looking for De Vries. Lee setting up Tade. Tade is full stop one of the best players the National League has seen in recent years, but he's, in particular, Harry, he's very adept at scoring from the top of the penalty area.
Yeah.
A number of times in his career where it almost looks like he's passed the ball into the back of the net. He's always a danger just across that top of the penalty area.
Yeah, we scored that equaliser for Birkenhead in the against Birkenhead in the when they had Howison got sent off. He came on and scored the equaliser from that sort of area outside the box. He scored 2 against Auckland United a few weeks ago. Same sort of thing. Joe Lee cutting inside, outside of the box. Some pure placement and precision from Tade. So yeah, very confident, quality player from anywhere around the box actually.
Brotherton, there is the man in question. Lagos, a good scramble. The challenge here is finding support because they'll be even slower. There's fewer of them. Does have Colotti, edge of the area. Colotti for Lagos, turns, trying to wriggle for some room to make the shot, and almost doing so. And that one is well wide. Lagos has gone down, needs some attention. That was promising though for Melville, showing that there might yet be a lifeline back into this as we go past the hour mark. And confirmation on our graphics that Ryan De Vries is the latest player to be put in cotton wool. And Alfie Rogers as well. His return from injury is a success. I reckon they probably had about 60 minutes budgeted for Alfie Rogers today, so he's replaced by Aidan Carey.
Yeah, it was probably that, I think, across the board. Andrew, 60 minutes. Let's see what sort of conditions, a number of key players are in. I reckon that would have been the instruction from Riera for this week. Let's just do the right things, get a result, but also if we're in a position in the game to be able to make some changes and rest some players for next week, that'll be what they'll do.
Just keep screening them, Ollie. Just screen them, yeah. Come on, Brayden, good.
Melville, who were already missing Josh Gallatley as he's headed over to, I think it's Melbourne, that he may have headed to one of the Melbourne clubs. Harry, to...
State League's a very good lead, both in Melbourne and in New South Wales.
And I see a contemporary of yours as well, and Chris Sorosic headed away over there to pick up head coaching duties. I'm not sure it was Melbourne, might have been Sydney, was it?
I think it's Newcastle.
So, yeah.
Zoro might be
outskirts of Sydney, if I can offend all Newcastle people with that description. But so Chris Sorosic had been involved at Western Springs, taking up an opportunity. And I believe following his son,
who's
who's
just going to say,
over.
Zach's he's got another season, another year left on his contract at Central Coast Mariners.
So it is the global game. Have boots or have clipboard and will travel. We wish Josh Gallatley all the best with that opportunity. Gillian, little step over from Tade. Melville can't clear. Drake kind of almost pulled the trigger, but wasn't totally committed. There's Carey, confirmation of the number 15 for Auckland, just slotting in, replacing Rogers at right fullback. Into the area, flag is up. Joe Lee, that won't count. What was your first professional gig in football, Harry?
My first professional gig?
First contract. Where and when did you first play? What age were you when you...
Yeah, I went to Hull when I was 15, actually, so...
That would have been massive for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, young Maori boy from Wellington, never seen snow before. Yeah, had a great experience there. So I went just before my 16th birthday, actually. Went on trial for 3 months and then went back the following season on a sort of 2-year apprenticeship deal. Was an apprentice back. He had apprentices back in those days, in the mid-80s, and then 3 years as a pro. So. And
was that really the good old-fashioned apprenticeship? Were you
billeted?
Right.
That's I was in digs. Yeah. The landlord was they were pub owners, so quite handy actually. Popped down for a game of snooker and a pint after training.
and a pie?
And a pie.
Not too many of the pies.
But no, it was an amazing experience. But yeah, back in those days, you're cleaning boots, you're actually sweeping the stadium, sweeping the stands, doing the washing for the pros, getting the kit ready.
Kilcolly wearing the number 9. I mentioned De Vries is gone. Kilcolly's out there, and he will be very keen as a number 9 to get out there with 25 minutes to go against 10 men.
Yeah.
He will be very keen to try and make a little statement because the battle for starting spots for Auckland City, in fact the battle just to be in the matchday squad for the grand final. I mentioned right at the top of our broadcast that this game for Auckland is going to be a little bit like every training session last week and this coming week. There will be battles within the war, just within teammates, trying to get into the team next week.
Look, I think, the way Riera, I think he'll have a settled side that he'll have an idea, pending fitness, of who's going to start next week against Wellington Olympic. I don't think today's game against Miramar will make any difference to how Riera approaches the game the following week.
You think If Angus Kilcolly gets a hat-trick here in the last 20 minutes, that might not sway Riera.
De Vries has scored. I mean, depending on De Vries's, fitness. I mean, he had that knock earlier on when it went off 10 minutes ago. So, who knows?
It certainly promises to be a very good final. I'm looking forward to it very much. And Carey has come through late here, and it's in front of the Melville bench, and still you hear the frustration, you hear the anger. Can I go so far as to describe it as anger from the Melville bench? And they were very quick there to invite the referee to make a decision. Campbell Brown was collected late by Carey, and he gets a yellow card. Yeah, Wellington Olympic will bring so much, to this final.
Oh, look, they've got some talent down there, some quality players. I mean, likewise with Auckland City, you kind of marry them up. You look at the team sheets and you cross-check, from a defensive line, midfield, and even if they're front three, or depending how they line up, they're very, very even.
Well, you'd pay good money, wouldn't you, to see Bazookas, Sinclair, and Gould.
Yeah, Killian Gould, I think he's a quality player, So yeah, and you got Tade. I assume he'll put his hand up for a starting berth next week, and let's see how the last 20 or 30 minutes, 20 minutes or so, finish off here. But providing he comes through the rest of this game unscathed, I'm sure he'll be putting his hand up for a spot next week.
Melville battling away, and they've done so pretty well since going down to 10 men. Indeed, they force a corner as Brotherton is forced to just push that out over the byline there. So they'll take their time, set up. It looks like Gerson Lagos, the Colombian, will go across and take. And that 2-0 scoreline, even against 10 men, can be a little nervy. Auckland City will do well to concentrate here. Good delivery, punched away. Good clearance by Tracy, driven back in through the traffic, almost. So Melville enjoying a good couple of moments here. Campbell Brown has recovered from the knock that he took moments ago. Good long throw. Lagos, was that handball? It was, yeah. Wouldn't have counted. Is Gerson Lagos signalling for VAR? We're not at the World Cup now.
He's signalling. We might have to do that for him, Dewey. We'll relay a call down to the crew down there, to the fourth official.
Goodness, I don't know you'd want to rely on me for some decisions. We might have a bit of controversy. What I have found fascinating, and I'm very much enjoying, of course, the first few days of the World Cup and extensive coverage on Sky Sport. Very much enjoying the football. There's so many distractions, by the way, with the off-the-park carry-on that's sadly, but rightfully, getting a few headlines. But isn't it fascinating with the time being added on?
Oh, yeah. You're playing extra, mate. Some of them playing extra. I think it was 10 minutes. 15 minutes they played the other day. I think it was, yeah. Most games, as we know, as we've seen, 97, 98 minutes played. That's all you need as a player, right? You get the 90 and go, we've got another 10 or 12 minutes to go here.
And my question as to the consequence of that is that going to change the way that all referees are going to adjudicate time added on? Because clearly FIFA are doing it differently at the World Cup. They are capturing almost every stoppage, and I think the minimum that I've seen is 4 or 5 minutes.
And there was 4 minutes today, the England The England game.
So do we see that filter down into our national league?
Across the rest of the competitions and across all other parts of the world? Yeah, obviously, yeah, absolutely.
Because, of course, you don't need VAR or a television match official to add time on. That's solely at the discretion of the 4 officials that are at the ground, as we have here today. So it will be interesting. I'll tell you what it is going to do is put a lot of pressure on producers and directors, knowing that we have to cross to the next game or the next
that's right.
the next piece of coverage.
You're right. Some of the football has been fantastic. A lot of goals. Some unfortunate performances on the Qatar got they can no longer progress. But, it'd be interesting one in the England group. The USA doing so well today in that 0-0 draw. Actually looked the better side for most of the game.
Yeah, I did watch that game this morning and enjoyed the sleep in. It wasn't, as you say, the Americans might feel they should have got something out of it. Kiwitea, let's stay with this for the moment, because whilst it is 2-0, there is life yet for Melville, and they will compete right to the final whistle. Pretty much guarantee that of any Sam Wilkinson coach side. And they have shown great heart, great courage, and no little skill as well through the season. Remember, on the back of this 4-game winning streak, Drake. Certainly for the moment anyway, the sting appears to have gone out of the game. Melville have just buttoned off a little bit and cooled temperatures down.
Yeah, just about game management now for Auckland City. They already made a number of substitutions after 55, 60 minutes.
Stop now, get back in.
As soon as they got that second goal, Vislic was ringing the changes.
Tade. Trickery from the Argentine. He won't have enjoyed the start to the World Cup, I bet.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be one of the upsets, biggest upsets.
Oakman, who gave away the penalty, and Melville give away possession. Here they come, Auckland City. That was an important challenge from Brown. Well timed. Lee gets up a little gingerly. Carey is overlapping, and Tade's good enough to find him. Great ball played in, deflected away, and now Lagos with Brown for support. Either Kiwitea or Gray knew where that ball had gone momentarily there. I think Jerson Lagos has cramp. Every indication here that that's what he's suffering from, and that's confirmed now. It's just the little stretch, the change of direction, and just the contact there, and boom.
It's not a nice feeling. Cramp, you know.
I don't know if I ever ran enough in a game to get cramp,
It is
Harry.
a horrible feeling. It really is. Particularly in a calf, when it just seizes up, you just can't, you know, no matter what you do.
There's the magic anti-cramp spray. Problem is, it's got to get from there down to the calf muscle, through the bloodstream. Yes, I think probably the calf muscle, at least you can maybe manage it. You can reach your own toes, but if the hammy goes,
Hammy, yeah. Jeepers.
oh my goodness. He does not look comfortable, does he? Auckland City looking to, as Harry Nata has said, manage their way through the closing minutes of this one and manage their way safely through to next week's grand final. They've been booked there for the best part of 6 or 7 days after the win over Miramar Rangers. And that was a win that was in doubt right until the final whistle. As Melville make a change, and we assume that it is Lagos who can't continue, replaced by Jacob England, who hails from England. Great pass from Drake. Iwata.
Yeah, well done.
He was Collie looking for a way to put his imprint on the match. Iwata, Tade, great save, Tommy.
No foul, no foul. What's the ball?
We spoke about it earlier, and that was the threat of Emiliano Tade.
Good, Jacob, good. Melville, come on, keep working. Keep working.
Sam Wilkinson urging his young team on. Keep working. That's all he can ask.
Good, Campbell. Batter. Keep working, come on. Come on.
Tade just teasing, isn't he? It's like the puppeteer pulling the strings.
Yeah, he was waiting for Gillian to make that run inside the defender just then.
Go on your own. Get yourself.
Here he is again, and he'll try one from long range, awkward bounce. And Max Tommy had to be alert to the danger. But even that, Harry, Emi Tade has played for that.
Yeah.
To dip the shot in front of the keeper. This is the earlier shot and the very good save from Max Tommy.
He always looks for that bounce pass off a striker or another player to set himself up in and around the box.
Away by Dowling. But of course, it'll come straight back given the numerical disadvantage that Melville are playing under. Iwata. Max Tommy cuts that one out at the near post. So approaching the final 10 minutes of the season here at Kiwitea Street. Still a couple of matches to play tomorrow. Of course, we'll have those covered for you on Sky Sport Next and Sky Sport in the Men's National League, as well as more action from the Women's National League. It's, perhaps over the course of this 10 minutes, Harry, get your thoughts on the season, on any overachievers, underachievers, anyone that can feel content with where they finished on the table, and have we got the right two teams in the grand final?
Yeah, I think we have got the right two teams in the final. They have been the two, I guess, better teams or best teams over the course of the season. There's been a lot of jostling, you know, in that kind of 4th, 5th, 6th kind of spot. You know, we've seen Melville, they were bottom of the league, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago. They've now pushed themselves up. You know, Christchurch started the season well as well, and they've kind of been there or thereabouts. I think there hasn't been much between the other teams. Birkenhead's always, you know, Paul Hobson's done extremely well with that group of players as well. So other than the outside, I think Olympic and Auckland City are kind of head and shoulders above, you know, the rest of the competition. But the rest of the competition has been very, very tight.
I think Auckland City, I don't know if they had a meeting as such or discussed it in literal terms, but there's Gillian down this right wing side, nice footwork, delivers to the far post, away by Dowling. But I do recall at Auckland City, all the talk at the start of the campaign was You know, can they go through unbeaten? And suddenly they dropped points, and they were at risk of missing the grand final, and they've responded.
Yeah,
pretty well.
It's a sign of a good team, right? The way they can, that a few weeks there they weren't playing well. Results obviously weren't going their way, but they stuck at it like any good team. You kind of stick to your knitting and do what they do well, and that's build pressure. They move players around the park. Majority of their players are all good on the ball. They love playing that short passing game in and around the box. When they do need to go wide, with the likes of Joe Lee or Gillian on one side or Jordan Vale, they do have the flexibility to do that as well.
Go back to that match against Birkenhead, and how big a turning point that was in the season, because they dragged that one out of the fire, didn't they? As Drake finds Tade. Left wing, right wing, central, midfield, attacking. He's all over the park. Gariga tries one, and that's more comfortable for Max Tommy. Had Tade not scored that stunning goal, you know, how might that have changed the course of the season for both Auckland City and for Birkenhead? Melville playing with 10, and they have been doing so for most of the second half, with the second yellow card, both yellow cards for dissent for Liam Hayes, and sent from the field. Sent from the field in the same moment as Auckland City were awarded and scored a penalty to give them that 2-goal advantage. Good switch of play. Iwata. Gillian peels into midfield. Kilcolly couldn't thread that beyond Campbell Brown. Listen to the support. We're hearing it. I hope you're hearing it at home as well. Sam Wilkinson just constantly urging his team to greater physical endeavours. 6 minutes plus time added on to play. Carey.
Keep working, come on! Yep, they can keep following. Steph, back in!
Lee.
John, you gotta go! John!
Drake. Tade continues the run. Good challenge, and John Oakman, heart and mouth stuff there. He's already given one penalty away.
I was looking at that one again. It was
Melvin, listen to your radio.
would have been unfortunate for John Oakman conceded another penalty.
Oliver Colotti's season is going to come to an end. It's a season that's included good success with the New Zealand under-19 team under Darren Baisley in winning the Oceania Championship and qualifying for next year's under-20 World Cup. And he has made his mark at National League level as well. He's replaced for the final 5 minutes or so by Harry Christensen Rose.
Yeah, still got to get another one out. Rosie, well done. Come on, read it.
Collie rising highest, but not high enough.
John Oakman, well done. Come on, 5 minutes, John. Keep working.
You can sense the pride that Melville are taking, I think, Harry, from desperately trying to hold Auckland scoreless, if you like, whilst they've had that numerical advantage, Auckland City. You feel like that's just going to be a a mark of pride for Melville if they can get out of this with the damage restricted to the 2 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about Sam Wilkinson's last game for in charge of this side, so you wouldn't expect anything less for them, the players, just to give it everything to close this game out. And you know, 2-0 against Auckland City, down to 10 men, can be a respectable result given the way they've played this afternoon.
Great for Carey, 2 of the substitutes, and there've been a few. Iwata. Here's Tade, who came off the bench midway through the second half.
5 minutes, mate. Fast. Keep working.
Scrambling back and scrambling superbly was Braden Quilter-Phipps, who was an early introduction to the game with the injury to Luke Searle.
Jacob, just get ready to go out. Just go. That's good, Jacob. That's good.
It has been a lovely afternoon weather-wise here at Kiwitea Street.
Pick up runners in the middle.
Tade.
All day.
May well have been a shot on goal there from Emi Tade. There's a few tired, weary-looking bodies now wearing red. They've just about emptied the tank, but they've got to hope there's a little in the reserve tank here because still a few minutes to play.
Yeah, makes me good.
Gray, who you would think that his dress rehearsal today is to be ready should he be required off the bench. You would think Mitchell and Brotherton have got a lock on that centre-back pairing.
Absolutely, but then again, you know, in a final, you just need to be prepared. All 14, 15 players, 16 players need to be prepared, you know, to go on at any time. So either that's like we saw with Luke Searle, the opening minute. You know, he lasted probably 5 minutes after that. So you have to be ready, and even from a preparation perspective, you've got to prepare yourself as if you're going to play. How many times have we seen players go out to warm up and then pull up lame, can't make the starting whistle? So those 16 players, you know, need to prepare as if they're starting.
Have a day off, including Hey, no one wants
I think Aaron Scott might have pulled up with a bit of cramp there as well, even the veteran Scott. And I shouldn't say even because he will be the last one standing. Will Aaron Scott, with his commitment and dedication to football in the Waikato generally, and in particular to this Melville team and club. So he looked to have just pulled up with a little cramp. 90 minutes tick by, and we are into time added on to conclude the regular season here at Kiwitea Street. 5 minutes of added time.
Come on, keep working.
Carey. Switch of play. Gray to Iwata. Tade again peels off into the top of that midfield area. And we could well see Auckland City just play a bit of keep ball here for the next 4 minutes. What have you made of Lee operating more centrally?
Yeah, I think he's had a good game. I think he's been busy.
Drake, half volley goes wide.
Come on, fill the gaps when it goes.
Seen him play a couple of times in more of a wider role, but loves to cut in on that left foot. I think they're all good players, you know, whether you're playing wide on the right, you're asked to do a job in the middle of the park or in another area that you're unaccustomed to, you need to adapt. And I think players that with that sort of ability of Joe Lee can play anywhere across the front line, can play anywhere, you know, either in a 10 or even in an 8 if he's needed. He certainly caught the eye this season.
Yeah, from memory, a couple of weeks ago there was a stat, and I think Lee had played the most minutes of any under-20 player. As Dowling, is there a consolation here? Could well have been. Has it taken a deflection? Certainly the Melville bench feel that to be the case. It's a shake of the head. It's just knock on their way today, Melville. I'm sure they came up State Highway 1 full of grand plans and full of confidence as free kick given away. Although a goal kick might just as well be given here as Gray was clipped. But those plans disrupted with the early injury to Luke Searle. They were plans that were further disturbed by the concession of the goal to Ryan de Vries early in the match. But certainly they were plans that were ripped up, torn to shreds when you concede a penalty and go down a man.
Come on. Good stuff. Keep working down on Braden. Go on, good boy. Come on, Rosie, just get back in there and rest. Good, Jacob.
Drake.
I don't think this game today defines their season, Melville. I mean, they've been, you know, the last 5 weeks they've been very, very good. And they started really slow. Given, you know, we're only 9 rounds into this championship round.
Lee goes wide. And point blank range, Kilcolly wasn't able to control.
Yeah, I think probably, you know, if you're Sam Wilkins, you'd probably give yourself the pass mark, considering, you know, the way you've started the season. Again, you know, it's looking highly likely they're going to finish this one with a loss, but, you know, the last 5 weeks have been, you know, some great football, and they've scored a lot of goals.
Well, they can't be caught by anyone behind them. So the Wellington Phoenix, Cashmere have wrapped up their season with a heavy defeat against Christchurch, but the Phoenix play tomorrow, but they can't be caught, Melville, so they will finish in 5th place. It's Connor Tracy almost with an embarrassing moment to end the regular season. Godiga, and they are pressing right to the end here. They are chasing every lost cause.
Do it. Come on, Rosie, just get back in. Jacob, drop down. Jacob, drop down.
Great. Auckland City content now perhaps to see this one out as Hunter intervenes, sets off the centre back, and that will be gathered by Connor Tracy.
Oh, come on, last minute. Jacob, just drop down.
Final whistle brings to a conclusion regular season action here at Kiwitea Street, and Auckland City will go into the grand final on Sunday the 4th of December at Mount Smart, 2 o'clock kickoff as the #1 qualifier, if you like. It doesn't count for much, but they will take that little piece of confidence perhaps into the final against Wellington Olympic. Ryan de Vries got the scoring underway, and Lee scored the second from the penalty spot, and Melville were down to 10 with the dismissal of Liam Hayes. And they maintained that 2-0 deficit, if you like, for Melville. That's a little win for them, but Auckland will be content with their performance and safely into that grand final, it would appear, without any injury concerns.
Yeah, thoroughly deserved. I think, again, what you talked about after about 60 minutes was all about managing this game for Ivan Visilic and Super Karai on the bench in the absence of Alberriera.
Confirmation of results so far this weekend. Christchurch, that's a great way for Paul Eiffel and the team to finish their campaign, less so for Kashmir. Auckland United 3-2, that was a thriller earlier this afternoon. And Auckland City 2-0 over Melville. We have matches still to come tomorrow. Sky Sport Next at 1 o'clock. It's the Phoenix Reserves against Birkenhead. And Miramar Rangers up against Wellington Olympic on Sky Sport 2. 3 o'clock kickoff, the Wellington Derby. A little bit of spice in that one, I would think. It's almost literally top versus bottom of the table. Confirmation, Auckland City go to 22. They have the head-to-head advantage over Wellington Olympic, so those positions won't change on the table. And for Miramar Rangers, they tomorrow have a chance with a win to leapfrog Napier City Rovers and avoid the wooden spoon. It's from Kiwitea Street. It's not a surprise that it's a winning note that they end on. So many of their performances here result in victories. Eastern Suburbs and Northern Rovers, a reminder also tomorrow of National Women's League action coming up on Sky Sport Next. It's on behalf of Harry Nata and the team right through the season that have brought you coverage through the National League Men's Championship. It's a farewell from Kiwitea Street, and I look forward to your company on Grand Final Day on Sunday the 4th of December, but there's more action to come tomorrow on Sky Sport Next and Sky Sport. Farewell from Kiwitea Street.